or a dummy model. So on day one, what we discussed was your imagination, then rule book, then your research, then you came up with one model each stage. Like you imagined something that you will be building a quad like this, then you studied the rule book. Okay, rule book said some things to you and you then changed the design. Now you researched more and you studied about the vehicles, those who participated in the previous year's competitions, and you again changed things in your design. Now you stand somewhere over here. Now you started thinking about these subsystem selections and all, and started looking for which competitions you are willing to focus more. Like, is it a traction event, is it suspension event, is it maneuverability or endurance or mud walker? So accordingly you came up with some ideas over here, and you started studying the technical aspects of your vehicle. You started calculating the things. You studied about reports, you studied about the failures, you studied about the cost and other things of your vehicle. Then now is the right time to talk about the technical things. But before that, we just I just want to share a few things with you guys. Suppose your tentative suppose you came up with certain ideas and you roughly drawn a chassis, and you thought like, okay, you are using Leafman 250cc engine, and you just visualized or you just measured up the dimensions, and you thought, okay, this particular section is sufficient for your engine. All right, now that you just we are talking about rough dimensions of your vehicle. Nothing is finalized at this stage, nothing is engineered at this stage. You didn't calculate anything, just based on your considerations, your research and development. You just basically framed the boundary limits that you will be exploring within the upper limit and the lower limit, the maximum and minimum basically. So you thought that this particular cage engine section will be sufficient for your engine. One mounting point is here, one is here, one is here, and one is here. So this is how you have designed or drawn a sketch of your engine compartment. Then you thought about like where the driver will be sitting, how the driver sitting posture would be, what is the length of the legs of your driver, I mean the knee, from the foot to the knee, and the thigh, so that he can comfortably sit on the vehicle. So somewhere over here will be your footstep or footrest, and driver will be sitting over here. And somewhere over here will be the A-arms, upper A-arm and lower A-arm, and somewhere over here will be the rear A-arms. Okay, so this is very rough sketch, this is very rough dimension. We haven't calculated anything, we haven't analyzed anything. This is just a basic layout and we are starting to work with this. So engineering is all about iterations and solving the problem in a number of in a series of attempts. So first of all, you took very rough considerations, you took very rough iterations, and you are now proceeding next towards the betterment, to the optimization part. So the first iteration was when you studied, when you just imagined the design. The second iteration was when you changed your imagination considering the points in the rule book. Then again you thought about the existing vehicles. Then you might have thought about the existing vehicles and their performance in the event, and you again changed the considerations of your imagination. Then you again decided about the performance and your aims, that what you are willing to do in your vehicle. Then again your perception changed. Now you started working for the technical development of the vehicle, and just based on those perceptions, those imaginations and considerations, you came up with something very rough, very you can say unengineered at this point of time. And this is now iteration first in the when you started doing engineering practices for this vehicle. All right, so we will be starting with the rough design of chassis, or sketch, not design, sketch of the chassis, that this chassis will look like this. So that you stand somewhere and you start working, you start feeding the values to the software, that your chassis will look like something like this. All right, no issues with that. So you need to state the requirements of the driver also, and you need to consider the space that will be accommodated by the components. So basically you can list down all the components that you will be using and try to see for its size. Like the list of the components would be, the major components I'm writing down: engine, suspension, fuel tank, if you have a liquid cooled engine then radiator also, battery, transmission, steering components, braking components, and several other parts. So you will see and think about their placement, the size that will be taken by these parts, and their possible operations. So you will be coming up with a random idea. Okay, this part will be placed over here, this will be placed over here, and accordingly you will give position to the placements in your sketch. So suppose you finalized your sketch, you now started designing the chassis. So what is the first thing that you will be doing? The first thing that you will be doing is finding the hard points of the suspension. There are two ways. Either you design the chassis first and then decide the hard points, but that is actually a little hard for you to change the things in an easy way. If you design the chassis first and decide these hard points for the suspension later, then just to change the hard point you will need to modify the whole chassis. So the best way, the better way is you decide the hard points first, you analyze the suspension in suspension software, and then you take the coordinates from there, place the position these coordinates in the designing software, the software in which you are designing the chassis, and now you can design the chassis accordingly. So you need not to, now you need not to change the hard points first of all. So as I told you, there are two ways of starting the design. First, start designing the chassis right away, and the second is find suspension hard points first. And then design the chassis. So why I'm focusing on these two things is, suppose you randomly started the design of this chassis. Now you randomly placed the suspension over somewhere. Now since you have designed the chassis, so you must have completed all the part level considerations also, like this part will be taking this much of space, driver will be accommodated in this much of space safely, transmission chain length, and the size of the differentials and all, drive shaft, where will be the drive shaft position in the rear, suspension in front, where will be the hard points, where will you mount the A arms, the lower A arm and the upper A arm, basically the wishbones. So you have done a lot of things. Now once the chassis is designed and now you want to change the position of the suspension or the suspension geometry, you will need to change the entire chassis. So alternatively, what you can do is you can take help from a software like Adams or Lotus Suspension and design the suspension first. You optimize the suspension first. Just using the values in the software, you optimize the suspension first, and then once the suspension is satisfactory for your needs, you move to the chassis designing. So since the suspension geometry is now fixed, it will be beneficial for you to change the things in chassis. All right. So what do you do in suspension designing? There are few terms that you need to study about, that you need to understand how these terms are calculated, how these terms are used. So first of all, just try and see the basic layout of the software. So I'm opening up the Lotus Suspension for you. If you can see my screen, so this is the blank template as of now, Lotus Suspension. Now in Lotus, go to file and open up a new file. So you will see the dialog box over here that shows you few things written over here. Symmetric suspension. So obviously the symmetry means the left side will be symmetric to the right side. So obviously we want it to be symmetric suspension. Then front suspension type. Which type do you want the front suspension to be? So generally what ATVs or quad bikes have is the front suspension double wishbone damper to the lower wishbone generally, but you always can explore other options too. Now rear suspension. So rear suspension, select, usually we have suspension type 6, double wishbone damper to the upper wishbone. So once you feed these values to the software, then you can check view edit parameters data. So you will find a list of parameters over here, such as bump travel. What is bump travel? Suppose this is your suspension, and this is a bump. So as soon as your ATV climbs over this bump with a maximum bounce, this suspension will be compressed and the length will be a little less than the original length of the suspension. So whatever is the vertical displacement of your suspension, like 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, the maximum I'm talking about, or 7-inch, that is the bump travel. So the amount of travel that your suspension can withstand without failing is your bump travel. Now, okay, so you can write the values over here, like it is written 60 mm. So you can write your own values. You have, see, again I'm telling you that these things, these results will not come in a single attempt. You will need to perform the iterations again and again. So suppose your your bump travel is 6 inches, that is approximately 152 millimeter. Then the rebound travel. Rebound travel is almost 30 to 50% of the suspension, depending upon the type of suspension that you are using. So if I take 40%, so that will be around 60. Then explore all these things. You will find the details very easily. Explore all these things: bump, rebound, roll angle, roll increment, steer travel, the steering travel, steer increment, wheelbase of your vehicle, center of gravity, height, braking on front, and drive on front if it is there. If it is not there, put it as 0. Weight on front and weight front brakes types, rear brakes types, total sprung mass that you will be deciding, front suspension type, rear suspension type. So all these parameters you need to fill. So if you just explore these parameters, if you, even if you don't know about these parameters, you can just refer to a few books or internet. You will find a lot of data, valuable data, and you can learn about these things. So feed these values to the software and just click OK. Now the tire data. So this tire data, the left side belongs to the front tire, the right side belongs to the rear tires. So you need to feed this tire data also. So when you purchase tire from any manufacturer, or you already have the tire data with you, feed the data to the software over here also. So what is asked for is the rolling radius, tire width, vertical stiffness, spring diameter, resolution, diameter shoulder, width shoulder. So once you feed these values, click OK. And this is just for the units, which units you are following. Click done, and the software will show you an animation. So these options written over here, if you see, this is move tool. So if you want to move the animation or the schematic to somewhere, you can move it, and you can zoom in or out using this button. You can see the rotated view. You can rotate the design using this button. If you just accidentally miss the orientation, you can press this button and it will be again reset. So if you explore these options, you will find that you can place springs. If you see icon over here, this is the spring icon. You can place spring in your design. You can place damper, place or remove damper. You can place or remove tires or rims. The A arms, if you see, this belongs to the A arms. And if you just rotate it a little more, so you will see that this particular thing is your chassis tube on which A arm is attached or installed. I hope you are getting. This member is your chassis member. So this is the lower A arm and this is the upper A arm, right? So this particular this is your upper A arm. Upper A arm hard points, basically one over here, one over here, and this is lower A arm, this one, and this is 0.1, 0.2, and this somewhere over here meets on the knuckle of your wheel, the upper point, and this is the center of the wheel, and this thing, the green middle part, it is the rack or the steering mechanism. This is your center of gravity's location. This is spring and this is damper. So as of now, I have switched on the front view only. So if you want it, the software can display you both the sides, the front and the rear. You just need to click on this car option over it, display both hands. So if you just want to and explore this, yeah, now all the four wheels are visible to you. But if you don't want to see all the four wheels, just you can click on this icon and it will switch to only front section. If you want to see the rear section only, then you can switch to this option. So you can explore the details of the software. All right, now suppose you have provided the values to the software, primary values. Now you want to see the animation, you need to press this button and it will start animating the things for you. All right, so see, this is a general case. You need to analyze it in three. This is 3D bump, this is 3D roll, this is how the vehicle will be rolling, this is 3D steer, this is how the steering will be working. So if you think that these things, the actions that the vehicle is showing is satisfactory for you, you can generate a report. Otherwise, if you want to change the things, suppose you want to change the placement of the A arms, or you want to decrease the length of A arms, you want to replace the hard points, everything you can do. First of all, I want to tell you that these are the XYZ coordinates of your system. And if you just see this is switching on and off the coordinates. Now this is the original position of your components. Like this is the spring, this is damper, this is hard point for the upper arm, this is hard point for the lower arm, this is your rack or the steering mechanism, and similarly in this side. So you change one side, the other side will be changed automatically. So there will be no problems for you. You can change one side and it will be changed automatically in the rear, the other side. So all right, you can animate this using this button. And if you want to see different views without rotating the animation, you can click on these X, Y, Y, Z, ZX icons. You see, this is ZX, this is YZ, YX, and this is YZ. So basically this is front view, this is side view, and this is top view, if you see. So generally people animate using the Lotus and Adams softwares, but you have to provide inputs to the software. Based on these inputs, it will provide you the animation, and it's you who has to decide that okay, this animation is good for me or not. All right, so now I would like to tell you about changing the details in the suspension software. Suppose you're not happy with the position of the damper or the spring, so you can always switch on to so again open up the software and provide it another values, and just see if it is okay for you. So if you have provided the correct values, you can animate, or you can animate using this. This is 3D bump, this is 3D roll, this is 3D steer, and you can see the graphs also. So graph means this is one graph of camber. Click again and another graph will be generated. This is toe angle, this is caster, this is kingpin, this is damp, this is spring rate, this is anti-dive, anti-squat, and half track, and so on, wheelbase and damper too. So similarly, you can generate the graphs for every thing over here. You can relate with your datas, and you can see if the suspension is working fine or not. How you should calculate these details? Like if you want to change the parameters over here, so you can always edit the parameters. You can go to edit, modify, edit, and you can edit the parameter. You can place new parameters over here. So XYZ coordinates, it understands XYZ coordinate. So if you are happy with the coordinates over here, that's okay. You can now generate a report by clicking on SDF. So once you are done with the animation and analysis of the suspension, this report will tell you the front suspension, front wishbone, rear suspension, rear wishbone, everything related to the suspension geometry, including the hard points, the mounting points for the A-arms. So refer to these coordinates and design your chassis, and then provide the hard points using the design software, whatever, SolidWorks, CATIA, or whatever you are designing it in. So these, if your suspension analysis is fine, if your suspension geometry is fine, if you are satisfied with the results, then you need to include these coordinates, XYZ coordinates of the wishbones in your design software, and then it will be fine for you. Now once the complete design is done, once the complete modeling is done, you will again see if it is working fine or not, if you need to change any parameters, if you need to change anything. So as I told, these are the things you need to understand: bump travel, rebound travel, bump rebound increment, roll angle, roll increment, roll steer, these things. So tire data, this tire data is required. Now I will just tell you few things about the center of gravity. Center of gravity and the roll center. See, center of gravity is something on which the complete mass of your vehicle actually acts. COG and roll center. How these two things are related to each other? Sorry, I forgot to tell you one thing. I just animated the suspension, Lotus suspension for the front section only. You can always animate it for the rear also. So as I told yesterday, I will be handling the questions at the end of the session. Gautam has said that I'm not able to see the screen. But I have switched on this screen sharing from here, so it should be visible. It may be a technical internet problem. I have switched on the screen from the very beginning. So CG and roll center, these are two important terms for your suspension geometry, and you need to understand their relation. See, in suspension geometry, there is a point known as CG and roll center. So where should these two points be? This roll center should be at the top of the center of gravity, or center of gravity should be at the top of the roll center. That is up to you. That is up to your expectations and your design requirement. I will just tell you, what if when the roll center is far away from the CG, and the CG, basically case one is this is CG and this is roll center. When the roll center is lower and the car corners, so the leverage on RC roll center will be more and the car will be rolling more at the corner. What do you understand by rolling? Rolling at cornering is basically if you see this photo, you will see that the car is at cornering and one side of the car is compressed and the other side is lifting up. So this is basically rolling at the cornering, or in simple terms, rolling is leaning towards a side. So what does the excess of rolling do when you are at cornering? If there is excess of rolling in your vehicle, you will not feel the effectiveness of this steering basically. And since one side is tending to lift up, then traction will also be loose. So it is a serious problem and you need to understand how much should be it. Okay, then the other thing is when the CG is higher, when the CG RC is higher than CG, so less leverage and the car will roll less. When CG is in this case, car will roll less. And in the other case, the third case, case 1, 2, and if this is the case when RC is just on the top of the CG, means the gap is not that much, then in this case the car will roll minimum possible. So you have to try to achieve this condition to maintain the steerability and the traction. So this is how you need to work upon your suspension selection. If you install like dampers like Fox, so you just need to tune up the stiffness and your job is done. You need not to worry about the installation and all and the geometry, so they will work for it. I mean, you need not to have that technical expertise to select the dampers, to select the spring, to select their spring diameter and stiffness and all. So this is a costly affair. And moreover, the vehicle is working fine, but again you have to go to the design event where the judges will ask you questions for the suspension. And if you have randomly used any suspension, may it be Fox or any other damper, your vehicle is running fine, your vehicle is doing good, but your design evaluation, if you do not answer the question, so your design evaluation is giving you low points, less points. But if you are selecting a suspension after so much of research and development, even if your vehicle is not working that well like the one with the Fox dampers, then also your design event will go well because you know the background, you just don't have the proper stuff for you. So maybe the springs that you have selected are faulty one, or maybe the damper that you have selected is not compatible with the system. So you need to work, even if you are using Fox or any other dampers that are good. So you need to provide the analysis in detail. You need to provide everything. And if you are trying to manufacture your own suspension, then you need to work a lot on these details, and you will need to, uh, manufacture and try them again and again so that you get the best one. So this roll center and CG, they are two important things that are to be analyzed. Obviously, caster, camber, toe, you have to take care of these things also, like how much caster, camber and toe will be required in your case, or what is giving you the best results. So just try hit and try method and obtain best possible values for yourself and justify them in your analysis and reports, and you're done. So make use of these softwares, Adams or Lotus suspension, and feed these values to different calculations. So I will be sharing you few steps of suspension calculations that are not possible to be told in this short duration. I will share the PDF with you. So don't worry about that. Calculating these details is not a big job, but what you need to do is you need to explore the software in order to get these animations done properly. You need to explore the software. So there are a lot of videos available on internet to which you can refer, to which you can just have a look, and you will be getting the things in detail. So if this session is not sufficient for you, so YouTube is full of the videos of suspension analysis, like software this Lotus suspension and Adams. So you can refer to those videos. Even if you have any doubts, you can always write me a mail. I will answer you to your queries. Now, please just note that I will be answering the questions at the end. Still, I'm trying my best to answer. I'm unable to see the screen. Ankush, what will the session be shared to us later? Yes, recorded session will be shared. Rehan, as I read on internet, it is not practically possible. Yes, it is not practically possible. That's why I told you to try and optimize this. So CG, you cannot make it basically it's very hard to achieve it like the roll center above the center of gravity, but always you can try and minimize the rolling during the cornering. So this is what our intention is. Okay, so now moving to the next topic, the center of gravity location. So today's topic was finding the hard points of the suspension, center of gravity location. So hard points, this analysis will give you the hard points, and center of gravity location, I will be doing it now. Front and rear suspension, I will upload it. Front and rear, I'll just tell you front and rear suspension of ATV. So there are two types of suspensions used in front and rear. There are two systems basically. When case 1, both front and rear are having independent suspension. Using double wishbone in front and rear. Okay. And the other case is double wishbone in front and trailing arm with one suspension in rear. So these people always show good results in terms of vehicle performance, but they once those who use this sort of setup, they face problems, many problems like first of all I'll show you the setup. So the setup is something like this. This is your drive shaft. This is your drive shaft, and somewhere over here is the sprocket, and somewhere over here is your brake rotor mounted with caliper. So the trailing arm is basically an arm attached to the drive shaft so that the drive shaft rotates freely, and this arrangement is having the bearings and the drive shaft is rotating freely, uh, and this is connected to the chassis with supports. So what happens when your vehicle undergoes any dynamic condition? So these tires, both tires will, and one more thing, suspension is somewhere mounted over here in the middle and connected to the chassis. So these tires will tend to go up all together when your vehicle is running. Both the tires will go up and down all together. And if it doesn't happen, then the chances are that the tires will be trying to twist or bend the drive shaft, and it happens. It literally happens when you are undergoing the turns. Then also the problem happens, though there are solutions available. You can use a differential in this condition also, but it is a little complicated, and you will invite failures, many failures. But yes, if you see the professionally racing vehicles, they will be having this sort of arrangement. Most of the vehicles will be having the monoshock suspension in the rear center, and with a trailing arm, and front double wishbone. So it's up to you how you optimize the things for yourself. You have problems for the drive shafts misalignment also. Sometimes if it is the locking is not proper in with the bearing, then the drive shaft dislocates from left to right or right to left. So center of gravity's location, just opening up a document. Give me a moment, I'm just opening up a document. So we will be doing a practical method of finding the center of gravity once your vehicle is manufactured. So theoretically, someone asked me that we have calculated it theoretically, and how exactly to be calculated so that we can place the sticker and we can locate it physically in the vehicle. So this method we will be using for the experimental method, and it is applied when your vehicle is manufactured completely. Just give me a moment. Where is loads on wheels? 656 665. So center of gravity location, we will be following this method mentioned in the Millikan and Millikan. So this method is basically related to the experimental details. Once your vehicle is manufactured, there are two steps that you have to follow. The first step is when your vehicle is placed on a horizontal level, and all below all the four wheels there is a weighing scale placed. So finding CG. First case, when your vehicle, you are seeing it from the top view, front, rear. In the top view, this is front wheel, this is front wheel, and this is rear wheel, this is rear wheel. So you need to place these weighing scales below all the four wheels. And okay, before that there is one more case to be discussed, the static load distribution. So static load distribution is basically how much amount of load is in front and how much is it in rear. So what we have seen is 60 40, like 60 in rear and 40 in front. This is what we have seen generally. This ranges from 55 to 45. So 55 in rear, 45 in front. So this is what generally people use, and this is the maximum widely used data. So this is basically this, suppose somewhere over is your center of gravity. So 40% of the weight is in front and 60% of the weight is in rear. All right. So this is left, this is right tire, this is left tire. Suppose 100 kg is the total weight. So 60 kg would be in rear and 40 kg would be in front. So considering it to be a symmetric vehicle, 20 kg will be on this tire, 20 kg on this tire, and 30 on this, 30 on this, right? So it to be a symmetric vehicle, then only. So we don't know where it will be symmetric. I mean, the equivalent weight will be on the opposite side or not. So this is why we are doing it. Okay. Place 4 weighing scales below all the 4 tires, and you know that 40% is in rear, 60% is in 40% is in front, 60% is in rear. So placing the weighing scales below each tire will give you the individual load on the each wheel, right? So this is your static load distribution. All right. So now I would like you to just draw this image on your notepad or somewhere. This image, the figure 18.1. Or if it is not possible, I'll just draw it for you. Okay. Tire 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So this is your drive shaft. Okay. So this is your drive shaft and this is the front axle, if any. So generally there is no front axle, but I have just given a random line over here. Okay. So this is the drive shaft. This is front section. This is rear section. And W1 is weight on wheel 1. W2 is weight on wheel 2. W3 is weight on wheel 3. W4 is weight on wheel 4. So this suppose theoretically you have calculated anything. Suppose 40-60 ratio you have calculated initially, but now since your vehicle is manufactured, you will know exact weight on individual tire. So once you total it, W will be equal to the sum of all the 4 weights, W1 plus W2 plus W3 plus W4. All right. So can we say it as if this is the wheel center, and this is track width of rear section, and this is track width of front section. So you see there are two ways when the track width is same is front and rear, and when the track width is different in front and rear. So first case I have taken when the track width is different in front and rear, and in front it is smaller than the rear track width. So this small difference we will say it as D. D will be equal to TF minus TR divided by 2. Okay, so can we say B equals to WF into L divided by W? How can we say this is point? This is your rear axle. So moment. What is moment? Moment is nothing but the force and the perpendicular distance. So how they have given this value? P into W will be equal to WF into L. So basically total W. Okay, I forgot to mention the notation. Somewhere here is the CG, and this length is Y dash, and this is Y double dash. This complete is L, and this length is B. This is A. So I'll try and just explain the things again. First of all, let us just draw a center line so that the drawing is symmetric. Okay, then a wheel center in this side and a wheel center in this side. All right, and four wheels. So four wheels. Four wheels. Okay. Wheel 1, wheel 2, wheel 3, wheel 4. So this is track width of the rear. This is track width of the front, and this from the tire center, this distance is D, which will be equals to TF minus TR divided by 2. This is complete wheelbase, and somewhere over here is center of gravity, which is Y double dash from this wheel line, and from the central axis it is Y double dash. Now this length is A from the front, and this is B from the rear. So what the relation said was total W was equal to weight of all the four wheels, W1 plus W2 plus W3 plus W4. Now the second relation which I told you, this is the drive shaft. So we need to take moment about this drive shaft. If we take moment about this drive shaft, then total weight, which is over here at the center of gravity, multiplied by the length, perpendicular distance, which is B, will be equal to weight in the front, which is the sum of W1 and W2. Weight in the front multiplied by the perpendicular distance, which is L. All right. So you can just see why this W R is the third term is 0, because the distance is 0, the perpendicular distance is 0, because we are taking the moment on this drive shaft only. So this is why this term is 0. So we can take out the relation from here. P will be equals to WF into L divided by total W. So since you know weight of the front, I mean, weighing scale gave you all the four weights. So you know weight in the front, weight in the rear, and wheelbase you already know. So you can calculate B easily. When you can calculate B, so A can also be calculated. What will A be? A will be equals to L minus B. Total wheelbase minus this distance. So this will give you 2 points for the center of gravity. One, distance from the front, which is A. 2, distance from the rear, which is B. So these 2 points calculated. I will summarize it again. Just see. The first experiment says place 4 weighing scales, 4 individual weighing scales below each tire. Just let me see the raise hand first. What is referred under steering or oversteering? Rehan will discuss it at the end of the session, under steering and oversteering. Okay. Ayapan Krishnan, if you still have doubt, just tell me, or wait for the session to get over. We can discuss it later if it is not that urgent. Otherwise, post me the question. Okay. So what I was explaining was the experiment one says place this vehicle on a horizontal plane and just add 4 weighing scales below each tire. I mean, one at below each tire, so that each weighing scale gives you the weight of each tire or load on each tire. So this is how you can verify the total load and load on each tire. You can verify the static load distribution also, whether you have achieved or not. So A and B, we have to calculate. Suppose this is the center of gravity's location and we don't know where is it exactly. We just know it is randomly somewhere, and we took the case where the vehicle had 2 different track widths in front and rear. We know the wheelbase, we know W1, W2, W3 and 4. So let us just consider this example of taking moment at the drive shaft. So drive shaft, if you take moment, it will be W, the total weight, into the distance of this B, right, will be equals to weight in front multiplied by the total wheelbase, because this is the distance, and the third term will be 0. So this is how you can calculate B. So since you know the B now, and you already know the wheelbase also, so you can calculate A. So this is how you can calculate the X coordinate. Now you need to calculate the Y coordinate. So for Y coordinate, what you need to do is just take the moment about x1 axis. So this is x1 axis. So I'll just rub it off the axis of the things. Okay, we got A and B. Now we will calculate y dash. So we need to take moments about x1, x1 axis, which is this. Okay, so taking the moment, the equation will be y dash into w. Since this is y dash, this is y dash, this distance. So y dash into w equals to w2 into tf minus d plus w4 into tr minus w1 into d1. Sorry, d. How? There are 1, 2, 3 and 4 weights acting. So first is the center of gravity's location, w. Okay, so this w, the perpendicular distance, how much is it? Y dash. We got this term. Now w2, this is w2. W2 weight into perpendicular distance, which is tf minus d, because this is the perpendicular distance. And this total is tf. So this, how much will it be? Tf minus d. All right, we got it too. Now w4, this one, w4 into the rear track width minus w1. Why minus w1? Because the weight will be acting over here at the center, and this is in the negative direction, in the opposite direction to it. So this is why d, w1 into d. Why not w3? Because w3 will be multiplied by 0. So this whole term will be 0. So now if you calculate y dash, this will give you w2 tf minus d plus w4 tr minus w1 into d. Okay, you know all these terms. W2 you know because weighing scale has given you. D you know because difference of the track widths you already know. And the D is this, difference of track width divided by 2. Now W4 into rear track width you know, W1 into D you already know. All right. So you will get Y dash. Now there are two conditions when the center of gravity is lying on the longitudinal axis, which is this axis, and when somewhere away from the longitudinal axis. So y double dash would be if tr is equal to tf, I mean the front and rear track widths are equal, so then no problems. Y dash will be equal to y double dash. But if they are not equal, they are different. So y double dash, put the value of y double dash is equal to y dash minus tr by 2. This is the relation y double dash. So put the value of y dash over here and you will get this. So you got one y coordinate also. X coordinate you calculated earlier. Now we will calculate the z coordinate. Before that, I will just repeat the things over here. What we did in the first experiment, to calculate x coordinate. To calculate x coordinate, we placed the vehicle on a horizontal surface. We placed one weighing scale below each tire. We recorded the loads on each individual tire, W1, W2, W3 and W4. Now we already know the track weights of front and rear. We don't know A and B, which is the X location from front and rear, A and B. Now we know the difference of the track widths, that is D which will be equal to the difference of both the track widths divided by 2. So now let us take moments about the drive shaft and let us calculate A or B, whatever. So B will be calculated from here. If you take moments about the front axle and over here, so in this case this will be 0 and you will be able to calculate A first and then you can calculate B accordingly. So A calculated, B calculated. Now let us calculate Y or Y dash. So to calculate Y dash, take moment about x1 axis, which is the axis, central axis of the tire, the rear tire. So if you see, total weight which is lying on the center of gravity location will be multiplied by the perpendicular distance, which is Y dash, and that will equalize the that will actually balance the forces on other moments, like W2 will be multiplied by this, W2 will be multiplied by this distance, this much, which will be equal to TF minus D, the front track width minus D, which is the difference of in the amount by which the front track width is smaller than the rear one. Now W4 is this much and W1 is this much and W3 will be 0. So Y dash can be calculated. Now Y dash calculated. So there is one case when the center of gravity is lying on the central axis. Then in this case, Y dash will be equal to Y double dash. Otherwise, if it is not, then go for this relation. Y double dash will be equal to Y dash minus TR by 2. So go for it. Put the value of Y dash and you will calculate Y double dash. Now X and Y coordinate we have calculated. Now it's time for calculating the Z coordinates. I will give you this document so that you can calculate by your own. And if you have any doubts, you can discuss with me. The vertical location of center of gravity, which is Z, calculating Z coordinate. So X and Y you calculated. For Z, just place the vehicle in such an arrangement where this is front tire, this is rear tire. So the second case includes two conditions. First is when the vehicle is lying on the plane surface and you are seeing the vehicle from the side, then you remove all the suspensions and place a solid bar in place of suspension and lift it up to angle theta. Okay, so you lifted it to up to angle theta. This was the center of gravity earlier, CG. Now this is the height of center of gravity. Now this is the center of wheels and this is ground. So let us say this H1 and this total H from the ground. Okay, so when you lifted it up, the new center of gravity would be somewhere over here, don't know where, somewhere over here. So just let us say this is B and this is normal reaction. So the distance between these 2 points, let us say C. Okay, so all done. Weight in front, weight in rear, angle theta, center of gravity's location. From the wheel centers it is h1, from the ground it is h, and when you lifted it up, the new position, this is point O, and the new position of center of gravity was this, so we can write W over here. This distance is B and this is C. Okay, now can we say L1 equals to L cos theta when this is L